Hello, and welcome to the Emmy Awards. I'm your host, Emmy Cardinale, and this is my podcast where I talk about what I've been watching or rewatching. Normally once a week. I've been a little MIA, which I will explain in a second, but as the title suggests, this episode is going to be about Survivor, so thank you so much for tuning in if you care to hear my thoughts on Survivor, specifically Survivor 50, as well as some older seasons that I've been watching. This episode is just going to be dedicated to talking about Survivor. Feel free to skip ahead if you don't really care about the introduction, but thank you so much for tuning in. So my plan for the podcast for this week is I'm recording this Sunday night. My goal is to get this out like Tuesday before the Survivor 50 finale. And then I had originally planned to record an episode on Hacks, episodes 4 through 8, which are the latest episodes. And I actually did record an episode about Hacks episodes 4 through 8, and the audio was completely like glitched out on me for the majority of it. So I decided to prioritize recording about Survivor ahead of the finale. But my goal is still to get an episode out about Hacks by this Thursday, like before episode 9 comes out. So my goal is to get this episode out like Tuesday and then record on Tuesday night, Wednesday-ish to get my episode about Hacks episodes 4 through 8 out like Thursday morning. So then my next episode will be hopefully the episode after catching up on Hacks episodes 4 through 8 will be about the Survivor 50 finale as well as Hacks season 5 episode 9. So that's the plan. I'm gonna try to get another episode out after this one this week. So then next week my episode can be about Hacks season 5 episode 9 as well as the Survivor 50 finale. But no promises. This is a hobby. Part of the reason that I've fallen behind is because of personal life issues. I do have a full-time job. I'm also fostering kittens right now. So, I only have so much free time, and the podcast has kind of fallen to the wayside because of that. And I'm trying to get back on track by having multiple episodes this week, but I don't know how that's going to go. So no promises. My goal is to get this episode out, and then worst case scenario, I can just like do a Survivor 50 finale section of my Hacks episode, maybe make it extra long. I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go. My goal is genuinely to have an episode about 4 through 8 of season 5 of Hacks before episode 9 goes live, but I don't really know because I did record that. It was like an hour and a half and the audio didn't work. So I'm doing the best I can. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. This episode is going to be about Survivor 50. So the last I spoke about Survivor 50, I didn't really speak about it super in depth because my last episode where I talked about Survivor, I talked about kind of like my journey with Survivor. I started watching 50 and I decided to go back and watch old seasons. So I watched David and Goliath all the way through. I watched Heroes, Villains all the way through. I watched Pearl Islands. I recently finished Natalie's season, which was season 29, which was Blood versus Water. Really, really liked Natalie's season. I'm a twin, and the fact that like her twin went home first and then she won the season was super cool to me. It was great seeing her on Survivor after having watched her on Traitors because she did a lot better on Survivor. Not that she was bad in Traitors. I think it's also something that I've realized in watching older seasons of Survivor and like getting to know these iconic players from Survivor that I've seen play in Traitors is that a lot of the times they're like really underutilized in Traitors. Like they're not as iconic in Traitors as they are in Survivor. And I feel like if I'm excited for the next season of Traitors for me to maybe know people from Survivor, but it's so interesting to me now as like somebody who's like Sandra's so iconic, and like not that she wasn't in Traitors, but like I don't know. I think really the most iconic Survivor player to translate into the game of Traitors is obviously Suri because she like dominated. But even just like the other players, I'm like Natalie was so much better. Like she was so good. I loved all the like moves she did. Like it was her gameplay was really smart at the end. I really liked the theme of blood versus water. I think it added a lot of tension during tribe swaps and then during the merge when suddenly people whose loved ones went home were like alone and loved ones were like together. Like the whole Baylor and I can't remember her mom's name, Missy. Anyways, she was in the final three, but like that whole arc of when they merged and her and like that was so fascinating to me. There was a couple just having like full blown arguments. Like all of that is super interesting, and it made me think of. I always liked when Big Brother did that. I'm a Big Brother fan. For those who don't know me, and so I'm new to watching Survivor, but I've been watching Big Brother for like a decade, and I've watched a lot of old seasons, even from when I was not watching it live. But like that was something I always really, as much as I don't know how possible it would be nowadays, and it would be different, but like I kind of like all the weird twists they did where they have somebody's ex, or like I will say I haven't seen the season of Big Brother, but when they brought in like secret relatives, that was a crazy idea. Whose idea was that? Anyway, sorry, I'm going on all these unnecessary tangents. I just finished season 29 of Survivor. I watched Kagian. I don't know if I mentioned that in my last video. Ernesto, can you please stop making that noise? I really it's been like a million years. It feels like since I talked about Survivor on here. I mean, it feels like it's been a million years since I podcasted. So I don't remember. I don't think I had finished Kagian last I spoke. I really like that. I really miss the themes. And jumping off of that to talk about Survivor 50, I do feel like I said this a little bit the last time I spoke about Survivor 50, but like this whole in the hands of the fans thing, really low key, kind of a lot feels like a flop and it feels like a disappointment. And I don't know who, like, it really feels like it's in the hands of celebrities. Like, what do you mean in the hands of the fans? I know they voted on paper, but like overwhelmingly, it doesn't feel like it's super in the hands of the fans. Even like in watching old seasons, there was, I can't remember what season it was that I watched, but like some fan designed a competition. Why didn't they do things like that? Like, besides the voting, how much was really in the hands of the fans? The fans you brought on were celebrities, or like, and Billie Eilish isn't even a fan. Okay, like, and I understand. Who am I to speak? I've been a fan of Survivor for like a month. Okay, so I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to compare myself to Billie Eilish. Okay, or to be like, how dare she? When I'm new to the game, but I would at least put some effort into it. I don't like this in the hands of the fans. I will say I do genuinely wholeheartedly believe that Mr. Beast is a fan of Survivor, because I do think that he enjoys watching people suffer. And it's really, really disappointing, because I have to say, and there were tweets after the Mr. Beast episode where people were like, "Oh, everybody should apologize to him," and I'm like, apologize to him for what? He's literally a bad person. Like, his twist wasn't that bad, okay? Like, and the only reason it was really like iconic was because Rick Devens is amazing. Which, by the way, I did name a foster kitten after Rick Devens. The kittens I'm fostering, I named after Survivor 50 players. Like, if Rick Devens hadn't been there, the Mr. Beast thing wouldn't have been that interesting. Okay, it would have been interesting, I guess. I don't know. Okay. But regardless of if the game mechanic itself wasn't like horrible, or like entertainment wise, like for example, Zach Brown was not offensive in terms of like the game mechanic of it, because it was like, okay, a reward, he's spearfishing, who cares? That didn't really shape the game. Okay. It was annoying how much screen time he got, but like for me, when a twist or like like the reason I am annoyed with the Billie Eilish boomerang idol is because nothing happened with the Billie Eilish boomerang idol, besides them mentioning Billie Eilish a million times. So like all that to say, the Mr. Beast game mechanic didn't really like. Although I did have a thought. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. This is not a structured recap. This is a stream of consciousness, my thoughts on Survivor 50 and other seasons. So if that bothers you that I'm kind of all over the place, I'm really sorry. But I just had this thought after this Wednesday's episode when Suri went home, spoiler. And now it's like Aubrey's probably going to win. Like, let's be real. Rizzo's not winning. Tiffany, love her to death, not winning. Like, and of the final three, then like the best scenario would be Aubrey winning, even though I don't want Aubrey to win. Not because I have anything against Aubrey. Like, I have genuinely no feeling towards her whatsoever. And like negative feelings. I don't know much about Aubrey. She's been kind of boring. Like, I have nothing negative to say about her gameplay or positive to say about her gameplay. And I also, in saying this, want to acknowledge the fact that I am getting an edited version. And just because she's under edited doesn't mean she didn't do anything. But I just don't feel like she's had a very, like, this is more a critique on the editors and the producers of the show than it is Aubrey herself. Because, you know, I think they've done a really bad job editing a compelling winner's arc with Aubrey. For me personally, I really don't. It hasn't hit. Anyways, all that to say, I had the thought after Wednesday's episode. I'm like, this fuck ass season, we're gonna get, for me personally, a disappointing winner, and they get the $2 million. Like, of all the seasons for Suri to have won, she would have gotten $2 million. Like, I'm sad thinking about the fact that Suri isn't going to get $2 million. I'm really like, the thing is, I have only ever watched Suri play Survivor knowing that she was going to go home, because I've watched like her older seasons now. And so like, I knew she didn't win any of those seasons. So it didn't hit the same. I had hope. I was afraid, but I had hope. I did have hope. I did. And I shouldn't have had hope, but I did have hope. And it was like a really unfortunate series of events, because basically I don't remember how much I've spoken about Survivor 50, because last episode I kind of talked about a lot of other seasons. Again, super stream of consciousness, so this is kind of all over the place. But I was really rooting for the Aussie Suri Rizzo alliance, mostly because I was rooting for Suri, and I also liked Rizzo. I vibe with him well. I like his vibes. I like Rizzo's vibes. So I was really rooting for that alliance. Aussie, I really didn't have many feelings towards him, but whatever. I did watch him in other seasons. I liked him better in this season. And then a couple weeks ago, in the episode where Aussie goes home, or actually, no, wait, let me back up, because I hadn't talked about the Mr. Beast of it all. The Mr. Beast episode was actually, like, as much as I hate the man, and he is evil. Like, I personally, not that I think people can be reduced down to like good or evil. I think Mr. Beast puts out a very negative output into the world. I'm not a fan of Mr. Beast. I don't really like this. It makes sense to me that he would be a fan of Survivor, because I feel like he takes like the kernel of interesting, these people are surviving, of Survivor, and then like amplifies it to make it like extremely unethical and extremely horrible. And I'm not a fan of Mr. Beast. I don't like the thing that gets me about Mr. Beast is that people are like, oh, he gives back, he's known for being generous. And it's like, to me, if your generosity is like, I'm gonna have people suffer to give them to earn money, then he's not generous. Like, maybe every once in a while, maybe back in the day, he did charity, but a lot of his giving back is like, you have to do something extreme in order to win this money. That's not generosity. That's torturing people who need money because money is of no value to you. Like, to me, that's not him being generous or like, oh, he gives back so much. He's torturing people for them to earn the money. To me, it's dystopian and like fucked up. I don't think Mr. Beast should have that kind of money. And I think he does really bad things with the money. And I was shocked that Beast Games got a season 2, because not only did it have a lot of allegations about like workplace, whatever, it also wasn't good. Did anybody watch? Like, I felt like it was produced really poorly. I didn't care about any single character. It wasn't compelling to me. It was like the main character, the main story I feel like I'm receiving as a viewer is that Mr. Beast is having all these people suffer for money. I don't need to watch people suffer for money. Okay. That's just the real world. I watch reality TV for like something. And here's the thing. And I understand that like reality TV and these competition shows aren't simply like a meritocracy or whatever. But that is what I find compelling about these shows is that in a different way, it's kind of like a sport. You have a skill, you can hone the skill, but it's like an innate talent that people have to like manipulate, to backstab, to like think through all the strategic decisions to then get to the end and win. And so like it's a skill and it's a talent and it feels like people are earning something. So I watch reality TV to feel like people are like playing their hearts out to earn money. With Mr. Beast, it doesn't feel like people are like playing as much as they're suffering. And I don't find people suffering for money compelling. I don't find that compelling. What like that's just society. Like I don't like it. I don't like Mr. Beast. Anyways, that being said, it was an interesting idea. They did the auction. I love an auction. It was a very fun auction to watch. And then the Mr. Beast comes out at the end and it's like you don't find out what it is until the tribal. So it's like, and you know what really pissed me off? What really fucking pissed me off this entire episode? There's a lot of scheming going on about like who we're gonna get out, what idols we're gonna play. Like there's gameplay happening beyond the looming Mr. Beast twist. Literally at some point in the episode, somebody goes, let's not even consider the Mr. Beast thing. Like let's figure out the situation as if that wasn't a factor. Somebody says that. Somebody literally said that. I think it was Tiffany. I don't remember. This was like 3 weeks ago at this point. Okay. But my point is that they were thinking through all the scenarios and being like, okay, yeah, this is something, but like, let's figure out what we're going to do regardless. Okay. So Rick Devens is like number one to go at this tribal, whatever. I'm yada yadaing it because he doesn't go. But at the tribal, Jeff Probst a million times is like, you know, it's the unpredictability of Mr. Beast and the Mr. Beast twist was looming over your head. And it's like, no, like shut up about Mr. Beast. It's annoying because it's like the Mr. Beast twist, like genuinely didn't like it was entertaining because the players made it entertaining. Stop. And that's what I think the Beast games of it all, that's where I think it falls flat. Because I think a game is interesting and the game mechanics are interesting, but you need to have players who will do innovative things and like really lean into it. Like the whole Mr. Beast mechanic was like you flip a coin and either it like if it lands on the thing you called the prize pot is doubled to $2 million or you automatically go home, right? Okay. That game mechanic within itself is not particularly super interesting if you don't have a player like Rick Devens who's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll flip the coin, because they were like, somebody's going to flip the coin regardless. You have to decide amongst yourselves who's going to flip the coin. And if not, we'll like draw, we'll like, they'll randomize it until somebody flips the coin. Like that on paper is not particularly like super compelling if you don't have a Rick Devens like player who's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going home either way. So let me, also I did like this. Not only are you flip the coin, you're safe. You also get an idol to play later. So it bought him a couple nights. But like, that's where I think Mr. Beast really, in my opinion, falls flat in his experiments, games, whatever he puts on his productions, is that I think he thinks of a concept and then he thinks the concept can carry it. And to me, I don't think the concept carries it if you're not like telling a compelling story about the players playing the game. And I think that's why why Beast Games was so boring to me, was because I didn't end up caring about any of the people. Like, I didn't finish it. I didn't finish season 1. Okay, I also watched. I didn't want like, not that anybody cares, but I watched somebody else watch it, so I wasn't giving him any streams. It doesn't matter. But it was just not interesting to me because if I don't care about the people playing the game, why, like, you know what I mean? And not that I think there are seasons where I don't need to be rooting for anybody, but like there has to be some kind of compelling story that's being told. And you know what I mean? I feel like Mr. Beast is all gimmicks and like shock factor and we're going to do the craziest thing, but there's no like compelling human am I making sense? I just really don't like Mr. Beast. And I think his mechanic to me really highlights the flaws in the way he produces these games, because it's like, this is only interesting because you have somebody like Rick Devens, like, to make it interesting. And he did. And I really love that. He was like, you know what? I'm going home regardless. Like, everybody's going to vote for me regardless. So, like, let me flip this coin. If I get it, I'm safe, and I double the prize pot, which, by the way, whoever wins, like, needs to take him out to a very nice dinner. Okay. Anyways, so it's like, that itself wouldn't be interesting if you didn't have like a Rick Devens like figure to do that. Okay. Then in the next episode, I believe it was the next episode, there are two separate tribals. I hate that they keep doing this kind of thing. Okay. I'm like, genuinely, and I don't think this is a unique perspective. I think a lot of people are frustrated by like the amount of like, but as somebody who's like trying to learn about Survivor and like watch old seasons and learn like the basics of the game, all of the like changes and like, we're merging, but we're doing two separate tribes and we're going on separate islands, and like all of these things are really, really irritating me. Okay. They're really, really irritating me because I don't understand why. Like, then the next episode, they end up separating into two groups. So the Aussie Rizzo Suri alliance is not on the same beach for the tribal. Aussie ends up getting got and he doesn't play his idol, and it's like, oh my god, this was so, like, again, something where I'm like, okay, this was edited well. I like, I'm not happy with what happened, but they were telling me something. It had an arc, it had a story. Aussie, at the beginning of the episode, is talking about how he had a dream, a premonition of him going home with his idol in his pocket. Okay, he had this premonition. He had this dream. And you know what happens? He goes home with the idol in his pocket, even though he just dreamed about it. Ozzy is not like paranoid and anxious enough for me, because if I had that dream, I'd be like, this is a sign from God, and I need to use this idol, even if like I need to use this idol. Like, I will, like, I would 100%, I would take that as a sign from the universe. I also don't dream a lot. Like, I know everybody dreams, or whatever, consciousness, whatever, everybody dreams, but I don't remember my dreams very often. So if I were to have had a dream like that, I would have taken it as a sign, especially if I was on Survivor and I was starving and I started having like premonition like dreams. I would be like, oh my god, it's literally the wilderness connected. And I would be like, this is a sign. This is a sign, and I need to use my idol. He didn't use his idol, and he went home. And I wasn't particularly upset that Ozzy went home. I wasn't particularly upset that Ozzy went home because he kind of did it to himself. Okay, because not only did he not use his idol, he goes to Aubrey and he like just spills all this information for what? Genuinely, for what reason? God knows what reason that Ozzy decided. Like, it made no sense. Like, I guess he was trying to manage the jury, but like, and I was having this conversation with my sister. I feel like people view jury management as like conversations, and I will say I'm more of a Big Brother person, so maybe jury management is different in the world of Survivor. But to me, I feel like jury management, like, people think of jury management as like something they need to do like on their way out, or as they're sending people home. When I think good jury management is like how you maintain relationships the entire game. Like, I think good jury management is more than like a strategic like, that's important too, to like, if you're going to blindside somebody, like, treat them accordingly. Like, obviously, I'm not saying that like that's not part of it, but I feel like jury management is so much more than that. Anyways, sorry for saying that, but it was very, very confusing to me. It was very, very confusing to me because I'm like, I feel like you're like putting the cart ahead of the horse. You're not there yet. Why are you like trying to sell your case to Aubrey at this point? I don't know. It pissed me off. I have to be honest. It pissed me off. Anyways, and so not only does he kind of like set himself up, he like does a horrible job at the tribal, and then he doesn't use his idol. And at that point, it was like, well, you know what, Ozzy, I can't even be upset that you're going, because like you have to go. Like, you have to go. Meanwhile, at the other beach, their tribal, Emily Flippin and Rick Devens have come up with a scheme to try to get people to vote for, like, to split the votes, because they're like, oh, he's gonna use the idol on me. Emily says that. So then people will like, anyway, so like in a way save themselves so both of them, like they'll vote mostly for Emily. So then Rick doesn't get as many votes. Or so, I don't remember exactly, but they're trying to like do something so people think that he's going to use it on Emily. So then maybe they can both be safe for the night. It didn't work. Emily went home, and that was disappointing. But the reality of that, I was going to be upset regardless because like the other options were like Suri was up in the air. Like I wasn't going to be happy with whoever went home at that beach. And so Emily going at that point, I was like, well, it sucks either way. And I do have to say that as much as I didn't really care about Ozzy going, I was a little bit worried about like where that placed Suri in terms of the end game. And I really do feel like Suri got screwed by the separate beach twist, because I feel like if she was able to save Ozzy and like there were two separate votes, so she couldn't like flip both and have them both go in her favor. So like she couldn't save Ozzy, and then Ozzy, or like talk Rizzo out of like not like she couldn't save that alliance, and I think it screwed her in the end. It's all just like frustrating the way it happened, and I don't think I'm the only one to feel like I wish things were a little bit more like normal. Like maybe this is just me, and maybe this is just like, again, I know more about the Big Brother fandom, how people view the game in that regard. But like, am I the only one who like, if I had to vote in the hands of the fans as a fan, I would vote for like less twists and more of like the normal game of Survivor. Even like the fact that now that I'm watching more and more Survivor, even the fact that the idols were boomerang idols is kind of like frustrating, because it's like it takes so much effort to find an idol, and then you don't get the idol, you have to send it to somebody else, and then none of them boomeranged back, which obviously you can't predict. But it's just like, I don't think they all should have been boomerang idols. I think like there should have been one Billie Eilish boomerang idol, just like there was one on Cagayan. There was one like special idol. There was one special idol that Tony got, which then he lied about. He lied about it, and he's like, this idol, like it was a special idol that ended up, he didn't end up playing it, but because he was like, this idol lasts longer than normal idols. But the actual special thing about that idol was like you can play it after all the votes are read. So it was like a super special idol. It just wasn't what he was saying it was. But he didn't end up playing it. But even that, like there was one idol that was like that. I wish they had like one like Billie Eilish boomerang idol. Why were all the idols boomerang idols? I just don't like that. I don't like that. And I don't know. I think Suri is a big threat. So like I think she is at risk of going at this stage in the game regardless. But like the way everything happened was frustrating. And I was really annoyed with Rizzo in this week's episode. It was like 2 hits. As I previously mentioned, I'm fostering kittens. I named them after Survivor players. And I have 3. They're named Rizzo, Suri, and Rick Devens. And so Suri and Rick Devens going in the same episode was really hard. It was really hard on me personally. I didn't think Rick Devens was like, I felt like, his time was coming. So that one wasn't as upsetting. The Suri one was a little bit more upsetting just because I understand why he did it. It just frustrates me that Rizzo turned on her. I understand. I can't fault him because I do understand doing what you think is the smartest thing for your game. Like, I'm not mad at him on, like, I think it was smart. I'm just frustrated by the way that and it is my first time watching Suri play Survivor in real time in a way that just like, this would have been such an iconic season for her to finally win, $2 million. That's like basically what they owe her. Please vote. Not that anybody, like I have like 10 listeners on this podcast, but like please vote for Suri for the fan vote, because I will be voting for Suri for the fan vote. But genuinely, I just like was really disappointed about the way the episode played out. I was like pretty sure. Okay, because here's the thing. I'm getting really sick and tired of Jonathan and Joe. I don't really have negative feelings towards Aubrey, as I said, but I really am so tired of Jonathan and Joe. I had the thought, and I said this to my sister. I'm like, you know what? They should have kept coaching Chrissy. When it was between Rick, as much as I love the man, okay, they should have gotten rid of Rick Devens and Aubrey when they had the chance. I'm kidding. Who knows how things would have played out, but like I think I would have been miserable if Coach was there much longer. But regardless, I am just at this point where I'm like not happy about how the end game is going to play out, because of the people who I would be most satisfied winning in the final five, it's Tiffany, Rizzo. I guess Aubrey is third. And then Joe and Jonathan, they're tied for last. I don't want either of them to win. I find them insufferable. Sorry to them, but not really. Joe I find more insufferable than Jonathan, just because Jonathan, he's fine. Joe irritates me because, like, for example, after the Mr. Beast, the Rick Devens Mr. Beast thing, he was so upset about how performative Rick Devens was. And it's like, you're literally on a television show. Okay, you're literally on a television show. God forbid somebody wants to be entertaining. Like, I understand to some degree being annoyed and frustrated with people when they're like making big moves or being showy, but it's like the way Joe has such a like annoying attitude about the fact that Rick Devens is performative when they're on a TV show. It's like, please have some acknowledgement for the fact that people are watching this to be entertained. Okay, I am not watching a reality competition show for the best, most moral person to win. Okay, do I want a horrible, evil person to win? Obviously not. I'm not saying that. But I don't like, for me, it's not about like, oh, the who played the most moral game, the most honest game, like playing the game by the book. It's like, it's a show. It's a show. And the Mr. Beast twist would have been absolutely miserable if you didn't have Rick Devens there and instead had to like go to like a random generator or whatever they do in these situations to pick somebody to flip the coin. Okay, thank God we had Rick Devens there who automatically was like, yeah, I'll flip the coin. Fuck it. What do I have to lose? That made it entertaining. Okay, that made it entertaining. And I will say, as much as I was sad to see him go, his arc at the end was beautiful. I'm really excited to watch his original season. I have yet to watch that season, but I've been charmed by Rick Devens. Again, I'm new to Survivor. The fact that he was a former newscaster did like automatically make me like him, because I do design newspapers for a living. So like people who work in the journalism field in any capacity, I do feel a camaraderie with them, even though our jobs are obviously very different. But there's, I appreciate him. I appreciate him. I am so honored to have named a foster kitten after him. Rizzo, you're on thin ice. I'm kidding. Like, the thing about Rizzo is I'm still charmed by him. He pissed me off in the game, but I'm still charmed by him. Okay. And Suri, I've loved Suri for years now. I remember I had watched Suri on Traitors season 1, and I really liked her from the beginning. And then that same summer, she went on Big Brother, and I hated her son, but I loved her. I loved her on Big Brother. No hate to her son on a personal level. I just didn't like him in the game. Okay. And feats that summer were so good, especially when I was watching live when he told Blue that Suri was his mom. Like, that was crazy. I was like, oh my God, it's gonna blow up. Nothing came of it. Literally nothing came of it. It was so good. It was so good. It's beautiful. The friendship that she developed with Izzy was so great. The feeds were gold that summer. After Zombie Week, things really went to shit that season. But anyways, this is not to rehash Big Brother 25. My point is that I've grown a fondness for Rick Devens. Like, as much as once I've watched older seasons and I've like made my list of like my favorite seasons, I don't think that this is going to be high on my list as like one of the iconic seasons. I do think a season of all returnees was a good season to watch live and to begin my journey, because I'm like watching people play their original games. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying. I think this was a good introduction. I do think I will watch Survivor going forward, all the seasons now with not returnees. I'm excited to watch older seasons as well. I'm really, really enjoying the older seasons that I watched. Like, season 29 was so good. I really miss the themes. Like, the theme for this season, In the Hands of the Fans, flop of the century. There were some really, really iconic. Blood versus Water, such a good concept. Amazon, I haven't talked about Amazon on here because I hadn't seen that season last time I spoke about Survivor. I loved the Amazon season, not only because Rob Sesternino was on it and like love him. I really liked the men versus women. I didn't think I would, but I really, really liked it. The women, the all women camp, I was like, this is literally just like Yellow Jackets. This is literally Yellow Jackets. But I really liked the season. Rob was obviously like really entertaining. I loved him. It had such interesting gameplay. He was great. The fact that there was a deaf contestant really like surprised me. I didn't know there had ever been like a deaf contestant on Survivor. Not that I know much about Survivor. As I previously mentioned, watched Big Brother 25, and it was just interesting seeing like a deaf player in old school Survivor. I think that was season like 6 or something of Survivor, the Amazon season. So like that was an old season of Survivor, like original. It took Big Brother like 25 seasons to get a deaf contestant, and they did a bad job accommodating. Although I'm really interested in if there was really like if even like the way the players accommodated her. Some like in her original tribe, they didn't really accommodate her very well. Then when they do a tribe swap and she's with some of the men, she's like, hey, I'm deaf. And they automatically are like, okay, when we talk to her, we have to have lights so she can read our lips. I'm like, that brought me joy. And she got further than I thought she was gonna go. I really liked her. I really appreciated what she brought to Survivor. I think that's super cool. And just generally, I liked the cast a lot. I liked the strategy. I really like the theme. Like I'm really, really liking the themed seasons. Even again, Blood versus Water, which is not super old. That was season 29. I say that, but because there were 2 seasons a year, like that was like a while ago now at this point. But even so, I'm like, I don't know when they stopped doing all the themes. I really like the themes. Blood versus Water was so good. Heroes versus Villains, so good. Pearl Islands, when they're like pirates, so good. Bring back the themes and like real good themes, not in the hands of the fans. And then, because here's the thing, I think in the hands of the fans is extremely difficult to do on a show like Survivor when it's not filmed in real time, because it's like you could realistically do an in the hands of the fans version of Big Brother. I mean, we had America's Player in season 8, I think it was, where it's like the entire time the season was airing, America was voting on things. Like they controlled all of his votes. That poor, he's fine. I'm just like, he was a very strategic player, and if he was making his own decisions, he probably like would have fared better. Like anyways, but because it's in real time, fans can actually vote on things. Okay, Survivor, it's like they can vote on stuff at the beginning of like, do they want them to get rice? All of these things, but overwhelmingly the fans can't really do much because then like the season's spoiled because it's not airing in real time. So I don't like that. I don't like the theme. I think they did a bad job executing the theme. Who wanted this? You know that sound on TikTok that's like, that's not what the fans want to see. That's literally the opposite of what I don't know the sound, but you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, that is not what the fans want to see. I do like that they're doing a fan vote for like a prize money. I don't understand why that's not $1 million. I understand they already upped it to $2 million for the prize pot, but like in All Stars, did they not give Rupert $1 million? Which, like, no hate to Rupert, Suri deserves $1 million more than he does. I really liked the Amazon season though, and it's so funny because some seasons I've gone into watching them knowing who wins, and some I haven't. And I didn't know who won Amazon. I knew Rob didn't, and I knew he got like close. Like I knew he made it like pretty far, and then was like somewhat like either like I went third or fourth. Like I knew he was almost there. Okay. So I did know that about Amazon, but I didn't know who was in the final 2, and I didn't know who won. And at some point, I had been watching All Stars before I started the Amazon, and my sister was like, I mean, somebody from like the winner of the Amazon season is literally on All Stars. They go home somewhat early. And I fully was just, I didn't remember who from All Stars had been on the Amazon besides Rob C. Like I was like, I don't remember who is from what season. So that meant nothing to me. And then I suddenly at some point in the Amazon, the winner of that season starts talking about her mom being sick. And I was like, oh my God, she wins, because I remembered that on All Stars she went home early because her mom was sick. And I completely forgot that she had gone home early because of her mom. And I forgot that it was her. Like I didn't connect the two because she went somewhat like early in All Stars. So I didn't connect the two, which I have to say, maybe this is an unpopular opinion. Maybe I just like the whole Sue of it all. Richard Hatch Sue incident that happened early on in the season kind of killed the momentum for me. But I really did not like Survivor All Stars. I really didn't like it. It like dragged on for me. The only parts that I was interested in was the showman segment, and I wasn't even particularly super interested in that. Okay, I really didn't like it. It's one of my least favorite seasons of the seasons I've watched, and maybe that's an unpopular opinion. I really didn't like it. Like, I do think that if the whole Richard Hatch stuff hadn't happened early on, I think maybe I could have got, like, I think it kind of killed it for me, and I didn't want to keep watching. I have to be honest. I really didn't like it. And maybe that's an unpopular opinion. I am glad that Amber won the season. Like, I think that's iconic. I think that's romantic. Like, that's super romantic. Okay, that could be like a rom-com. They meet on Survivor, she wins. I love that. And like, they're still together. That's beautiful to me. But in terms of the gameplay, I wasn't particularly compelled. I didn't really enjoy All Stars. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion. It's like bottom tier of the ones that I've watched. I understand that there are probably a lot of really shitty seasons. Okay. Of the ones I've watched, it's at the bottom of my list. Okay. I apologize. I apologize to the people who are Survivor All Star truthers. I am not one of you, and I hope you can accept me. You actually don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But like, genuinely for me, I really didn't like it very much. And I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry, but I really didn't like it. Let me see. What seasons have I watched? I watched David versus Goliath. I really liked that one. Pearl Islands. Really liked Pearl Islands. Cagayan, which was Bronze versus Beauty versus Brains. Again, even the themes that I think I'm gonna hate, I just like the theme. I like there being a theme. You know, David versus Goliath. I like the themes, is what I'm really realizing. That, and like when they go to new places, I think that's really fun. Like, I was watching the Amazon season, and at some point they do like a quiz, and it's like questions about Brazil. And I lived in Brazil for 2 years. So like, I know the answer to some of those questions just because I like, one of them was like, what is, and I don't remember what it's called now, but it was like Guaraná, I think. They were like, and they listed a bunch of, it was multiple choice, which, by the way, they said energy drink. To me, Guaraná was, I always thought that was a soda. Like, that's how I would describe it. But none of the other ones were like beverages. So I would have said energy drink. But to me, Guaraná was a soda, not an energy drink. But I don't know. Brazilian, sound off in the comments. And maybe I'm completely misremembering. I do really remember liking Brazilian soda, though. But like, stuff like that, I like it when it's around where it's located. The fact that Pearl Islands was because that had a history of pirates. My sister told me that there was a season where the island they were on had a history of cannibalism. Need to watch that season. I need to watch that season. So I will be watching that at some point. Don't know what season it is. Might be the worst season of Survivor literally ever, but I couldn't care less because if that was filmed nowadays, like present day, and it wasn't like the way they do Survivor now, where it's always in PG. If they filmed a Survivor, an island with cannibalism, like a history of cannibalism in that island in the present day, and I was on that season, once we did the merge and we got to pick our own names, I'd be like, guys, we need to call ourselves the Yellow Jackets. that would be my aim. If I was on any of these shows, I would name an alliance or a tribe it would have to be the Yellow Jackets. Like, it would have to be the Yellow Jackets at some point if I could pick a name for something. That is just genuinely, like, you know how on Big Brother people always want to do all girls alliances, but people like that. When has that ever come to fruition? I would do an all girls alliance, and I'd be like, guys, we need to call ourselves the Yellow Jackets. And then if we ended up cannibalizing each other and like it fell apart, well, you know, that's okay too, because that kind of happens in the show. You know what I mean? Like, they literally cannibalize each other. But anyways, so I like when the theme or the island, the location has something to do with it. Okay, I like that. I miss that. We need to bring that back. I understand production wise, it's probably like it makes sense that they're just always doing it in PG. But I really like that about old school Survivor. I really like Idols. I think that's something when I'm watching like the older seasons like Amazon or even All Stars, I'm like, Idols would add such a like fascinating level to this, or even like there's so much gameplay in the Idols and then splitting the votes because people might be playing an idol in a way that I really, really like. Like Natalie in season 29, there's a moment where her alliance, like they're splitting the votes in case somebody plays an idol, and like it's supposed to be like 5-6 or something, whatever, and she votes for the other person and she's like, shoot, I forgot, and it like sets her up perfectly. Like, obviously a lot of other things had to happen for her to get to the end, but it was he even asks her like, what was a big move, and she says voting you out. And that was so true. She was like, that was something that I did that nobody knew that I was going to do. Like, there were so many good moments with idols. At some point she plays an idol on Jacqueline, and she's like, did you vote for who I told you to vote for? And they end up getting, I think, Baylor. Yeah, they that was like in the finals, and she got Baylor out, which was like the daughter of the mother-daughter duo. She got her out in the end. So then it was Jacqueline, Keith, Natalie, and Missy. Is her name Missy? I don't know. Anyways, the point is, she like is gonna take the mother-daughter duo to the end, but then she like uses her idol on another person, so then the mother-daughter duo is split up. And genuinely, like, the idol playing idols is so interesting to me, and so like it adds a layer with like the splitting of the votes and the way that then votes can be split in a way where it's like one vote really does make a massive difference in a way that I think isn't necessarily super common to happen if there aren't idols. I don't know. Like, I really love an idol, and I think there are a lot of new era things that, I mean, idols aren't super new era, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not super like we need to go back to the basics, but I do think there are a lot of things where I'm like, I don't understand why we need to be doing this. Okay, also, one thing that irritates me about Survivor is that as much as Big Brother really irritates me, and as much as sometimes like they delay things with the like, okay, suddenly people aren't going home, and jury keeps dragging on and on and on until we finally get to jury. I like the fact that once you've reached jury, like that's the like. Sorry, that made no sense, but it's just like from the seasons of Survivor I've watched, there's not like a consistent number of people every season where it's like, okay, now we're merging. I wish that it was like you merge when you get to jury, or like a lot of the old seasons I've watched, it's like you merge and then there's one more elimination before you get to jury. Like something that was more, I wish, consistent, because I'm like, I feel like you never really know when you're gonna merge or you're not gonna merge. There was a tribal during Heroes versus Villains where the jury had already started, but one of the jury members like but they hadn't, like, jury started but they hadn't merged yet. So one of the like the jury member got to watch like this singular tribal, and like nobody else, like it was weird to me. I'm like, why is he here? Like it was so confusing to me. I just don't I don't love that. Anyways, sorry, this has been all over the place. I really liked season 29. I really liked, like, of my favorite seasons, the ones that I think of, Heroes Villains, amazing. Like really, really loved Heroes Villains. I really liked 29. I think partly because I like the winner. I really liked Survivor Kagian, even though not that I dislike the winner. I think he's an interesting winner, but I think I would have liked that season. Like I like the season beyond the winner. Like I really like 29. I think it had good interpersonal dynamics, and again, I really loved the theme. But I think if a different person won, I wouldn't have loved it as much. I really liked watching Natalie's arc to the end. But like Kakyan, for example, the stuff that sticks out to me about that season and what makes it so entertaining is genuinely not because Tony won, but I do think that he was again one of those players where I'm like, you really were subdued in traders. Like they really didn't utilize your talents the way they should have. My favorite season so far, I really loved. Obviously, Micronesia is amazing. I loved Suri in Micronesia. She was robbed. I loved Heroes Villains. Sandra, iconic winner. Sandra, I think is one of my favorite players ever. I think not that you have to win on your first time to be like a really iconic winner, but I feel like for what Sandra did of like being the first two-time winner and winning, playing twice, and both times that she played, she won. Her like obviously she's played since, but like her first two times playing, she wins both times, and she's the first two-time winner ever. Like to me, that is genuinely like so iconic, especially because she wasn't on a season. Heroes Villains wasn't all winners, so it's like she won for the second time against other people who like hadn't won. I mean, literally in the end, the final three of that season is two previous winners and Russell, and they hate Russell so much that he doesn't get any votes. Like I, she is just so iconic to me that I feel like she's not talked about enough. I say that people talk about Sandra all the time, but like Sandra is genuinely, in my opinion, such an amazing player. She was amazing in Heroes Villains. I've grown a deep fondness for Sandra. I wish she had been on season 50, but I'm like glad. It's okay that after the mess of Survivor 50, there's just some people where I'm like, I don't know. I understand I haven't watched their original seasons, so maybe I'm being a hater. But like, what did Jonathan do? Was Jonathan like really an iconic player? Because he pisses me off. I really don't like Jonathan. I really don't like Jonathan. When he stuck his tongue in the rice and he started eating the dry rice, and then he was like, they don't like, I'm eating the dry rice. Why do they care? Why are you sticking your tongue in rice that other people are going to make? Like, that's weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. It made me uncomfortable. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. Okay. I just, Joe and Jonathan are probably two of my least favorite players this season, and the fact that they're in the final five is genuinely like really, really frustrating for me personally. At least we only have one episode left. I feel like it's going to be Tiffany, and then Rizzo's going to be out final four, and then we're going to have genuinely one of the worst case scenarios of final three, because Joe and Jonathan are in the final three, and that is like hell on earth. That is like nightmare fuel for me personally. That's like you pulled the worst case scenario for Emi Cardinale personally, and you made that into the final three. I can't fault them for voting Suri out because I understand why they did, but it's like you couldn't have kept her around, so there could. I don't know. Tiffany, I've really grown fond of. I didn't know any of these people going into the season, and I have since watched. Well, I knew Suri going into the season, but I hadn't seen any of the other people play. Well, that's not true. I had seen other people play in. Actually, was anybody on this season also on Traders? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think so. Anyways, but this was the first season of Survivor I went into watching. I then, while I was watching, I went back and I watched David versus Goliath. So I watched like the backstory on a lot of people, but like there are a lot of the majority of these players I have yet to see their first time playing. So I'm judging them solely based off of their performance on this season. And that's been both lovely in a lot of ways, because I've grown again a fondness for Rick Devens, even Rizzo, who pissed me off. There's a fondness for him. My love and admiration for Suri has grown even deeper. Like I really understand Izzy more and more and more. I too would have the like I get it. I really can't fault Izzy. So like in a lot of ways, this season has brought me a lot of really beautiful things. It'll always be the first season of Survivor I watched live and like began my Survivor journey. And I do hope that Survivor is on for many, many, many more seasons. And so like, it hasn't been all bad. I have a lot of critiques, but I'm really glad that this season got me into watching Survivor. I'm excited to keep watching Survivor. I'm excited to have been introduced to people who like have made such interesting TV. I'm really grateful to have been introduced, not introduced because I knew Survivor was a thing, but I like really gotten into such an interesting game because I've grown really fond of like Survivor as a game, which I think just amplifies my critiques because I'm like I feel like a lot of the things that bother me about the way this season has played out and like the twists and the way that's changed the game are because of the older seasons I'm watching where I'm like it was so good that we didn't need all of these, twists, or the twists could have been better, or like I don't really know, but I'm glad to have. I'm sad that it's coming to an end, I guess, but I'm also kind of relieved because I don't really want anybody to win. I am happy, genuinely though, for whoever wins. I'm happy. I think it's cool for the winner of Survivor 50. None of the people left have won. So it's going to be it's going to be somebody's win, and it's going to be an iconic season to win. They're going to win $2 million. That's great. I'm really happy for whoever's life is going to be changed, and they're going to get that win. So that's great. I'm not trying to be a hater. I am just sad, and it was a very big blow to me for Rick Devens and then Sri to go out back to back in the episode. Like that was a bummer, especially now because the only people I have left that I really care about are Tiffany and Rizzo. I think it's going to be them back to back as well. So it's rough out there. But that's all I have to say. This episode, normally I record for like a little bit longer than the episode runtime and I edit it down. And I will still be editing this down. But this has only been like an hour and 5 minutes of a recording. Normally I record for at least like an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. So if the episode's a little bit shorter, I'm sorry. I am aiming to have an episode out in a couple of days as well, and then next week I'll be back to like a more regularly scheduled once a week podcast schedule. But that is my plan right now. So hopefully the audio worked for this. Hopefully everything works out, and you'll hopefully hear from me in a few days for a probably longer episode because I have like 5 episodes of hacks to talk about. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You'll hear from me soon. Sorry for all the delays. My foster kittens will be available for adoption somewhat soon, and I'm posting about that on social media. So if you care to adopt kittens named after Survivor players, feel free to reach out to me or to check out the information down below, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great week.